Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ari, and hopefully you'll stick around for a quick video. So guys, it's time for another HRT update. This is my 8-month HRT update, and as I've said in previous videos, these get harder and harder to do because the changes are less and less obvious with each and every month, from one month to another. So once you start seeing the changes, it's kind of hard to differentiate between one month and the other. But I'm going to try to keep doing them up until the 1 year mark. Once we reach the 1 year mark, I am going to scale them back and only do updates every few months, because I think that may work out a little bit better. But in the meantime, I will try to discuss a little bit of the changes that I've seen overall from the beginning of my transition, and if there are any noticeable changes between month 7 and month 8. So I started HRT in July of 2017, and obviously I have seen a lot of changes since then. One of the biggest ones, of course, would be breast development, which started kind of slow at first, but has continued to build. And it's still not anything massive, but of course now, if you watch my previous video, I am looking at breast augmentation, hopefully coming up, hopefully this year. But I did see those changes. I have also seen the thinning of body hair start up. I don't know with certainty. I feel like I've seen a smoothing and a softening of the skin. But the problem when you're in the middle of transition is knowing what is coming from your HRT and what are you just kind of seeing in your own head because that's what you want to see. Now, I will say I think the skin softening is probably legit, the skin changes, because it's something that my doctor brought up at my last checkup, my last follow-up. So she had noticed some changes as well, so that seems to be a big positive. I have definitely noticed a thinning of body hair. When I do get hair that grows back on my legs, on my arms, that comes back a little bit more sparse. It's not as thick. It's not as dark. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's like the hairs themselves, the individual hairs, aren't as thick either. They seem to be like a thinner, I don't know. I don't know what the term is for that. Maybe one of you guys do. But it seems like it comes back a little bit thinner. The one place I haven't noticed any major hair changes at is underarms. Still comes back, maybe a little bit slower than it used to, but it's still just as irritating as it ever was. So I don't know if that's something with everyone, but for me, no major changes there. The hair on my head, I haven't noticed any rapid, like the speed in which my hair grows has not like sped up or anything. It's still growing at the normal rate that it was before. Now I've noticed a little bit that may be from the HRT and may not in fat redistribution. I was sick a few weeks ago, so I lost a little bit in my face. But before that, I was noticing more fat in my face that I hadn't seen before. My cheekbones and everything were a bit more filled out, which takes a little bit of work because I do have really high, prominent cheekbones. So to fill that cheek out is a little challenging, but I did see that. From month 7 to month 8, I've looked at photos. I don't show them on here, but I do chest photos, topless photos, to keep track and see how breast development is going. And I did one in February, and then I just did one yesterday, and there is mild changing. Most of it is, I don't know how to describe it, but it's more visible in the underneath than what it was in previous photos. So it's mild, it's not extreme, but there definitely was some continuing breast development between month 7 and month 8. So that was one of the biggest things that I saw. Everything else was pretty much just a continuation of what I had already seen. I haven't seen any changes related to HRT on facial hair, which, if you know, if you've done your research, according to the research, that will not change based on HRT. Obviously I've seen changes from facial hair, but that's because of laser hair removal, not necessarily my hormone levels. So that was just one big thing on that, just to explain where that's coming from. Of course, now, after being on HRT for 8 months, my hormone levels are starting to get to the area that they need to be. As I told you guys in one of my previous videos, my hormone level for my testosterone was in the high normal female range. So, men typically are 300 and above, all the way up to 12 or 1400. Mine was well below that, getting close to the single digits. So it was making some major improvement, and my medication was increased, so I'm sure I've probably seen that drop a little bit as well. My estrogen was raising, not as fast as my testosterone was lowering, but I am now in the low female range, and of course we want to get that higher, and we'll look at that at my next appointment in May. Okay, so let's talk about the more sensitive subject matter, which is anything that has to do from below this level down. The things I talked about before, things like erectile dysfunction that happens with HRT, and your sex drive, being pretty low, in my case, pretty non-existent. That has continued. I really can't say any change there. You don't, and I hate talking about this because I'm a very private person who gets easily embarrassed. But you know that situation sometimes that happens, fellas, you guys will know, when you wake up in the morning and something wakes up a little bit earlier than you do. I do believe you're getting my drift. That does not happen anymore. I couldn't really tell you the last time that did happen. That pretty much changed within the first 3 months. So there is major changes on that. Things are definitely not very active from the belt line and below. And I'm actually really happy with that. It's not something that I really have any use for, or I'm not interested in that. And we'll do a video probably at some point in time talking about that issue of below the belt, but first I have to work up the nerve to where I can actually say the words, and right now I can't. But anyway, other than that, those are pretty much the changes I've seen. I will do another video here soon. I'm trying to put out multiple videos to try to get caught up a little bit. And also, like I said, I'll continue doing HRT updates for a little while to come. But once I hit the 1 year mark, we're going to have to back off on them a little bit. So, I guess I will close with my quote from Kesha. Don't let the bastards get you down. Be yourself. Make the decisions that are going to be best for you in your transition. Only you can decide what you want to do with your transition, whether things like HRT are important to you or not. And the thing to remember is there is no right way to transition. Your transition is based on how comfortable you are in your body and the changes that you want to make. So, Feel comfortable being yourself. Don't let other people tell you you're not doing it right, including in the trans community. Just be you and be happy with it. Until the next video, guys, I love you and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.